Let it go. All right, I'll do my song and dance if I'm.
Yeah. You could do it for their benefit.
Oh, thanks.
Confused.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Planning Board meeting. Today's Tuesday, September 12th, 2019. It's 9:30 a.m. Everybody, please silence your cell phones, if you will. And Ms. Deputy Town Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Mendelson is absent. Member DeMoss?
Present.
Member Goldenberg?
Present.
Member Adwar is absent. Member Bowden?
Here.
Vice Chairperson Kravitz?
I'm here.
Chairperson Axelrod is absent. Town Attorney Rubin?
Thank you. If everybody would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so first off, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I call for motion to accept the agenda currently as presented.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay. At this time, we'll have public comments. These comments will be limited to 5 minutes each. So if anybody from the public would like to speak, please step up to the microphone. There's gotta be somebody.
May I say something? If there's no other public? For those that,
Hold on just 1 second.
no?
What do you want to?
I wanted to say that an observation, not about the board. For anybody that is interested, it's not hypothetical. There are sharks in the intercoastal. There are. I have pictures of them right off of our dock. So if you're dragging grandchildren or children behind the boat, just be aware. There are bull sharks in the intercoastal, and that's for anybody that might be watching on
Great.
the big eye.
Public service
I was
announcement.
going to say,
That's
it's a
it.
PSA.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, thanks very much. Are there any corrections to the minutes of August 15th, 2019? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th?
I so move.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Hearing none. Okay, our next item here. Old business, there's no old business, so we'll move on to new business. We have an application, number 190426 from Southeast Building Corporation, LLC. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing single-family home and construct a new two-story, 8,237 square foot single-family house located at 4403 Intracoastal Drive, Highland Beach. The lot is located on the interior lake in the Bel Lido subdivision, and the applicant is not proposing to construct a new seawall or dock at this time. Do any of the board members have any ex parte communications to disclose?
No.
The only communication I've had is with Commissioner Gregg, and he and I received an email from him just alerting me to the project and asking me to take a look at it, which I did. I then responded to him that I thought overall the home looked good. I did have one concern, which we'll discuss here today. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. All those giving testimony, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in by the deputy clerk.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, Mary McKinney, our town planner, please come to the podium, present your testimony and recommendations regarding this application.
And this is an application for site plan approval for 4403 Intercoastal Drive. And it's for a two-story, 8,237 square foot single-family house. And their applicant is proposing to demolish the existing single-family house. Staff reviewed the application for compliance with the site plan, and it met our standards for compliance. Oh, thank you. Guess the microphone wasn't on. I don't know if the clicker is working.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I did put some slides up there for the applicant to explain. Oh, thank you. Oh, this one's not very good. Actually, this has the chart with all of the setbacks on it, but the proposal meets all of the town code setbacks. And this is the site plan showing the setbacks. These are the elevations. And that's it for the amount of slides up here. And the applicant is here to make a presentation. Don't know if you want to use these also, but I'll let them go ahead and do their presentation.
Okay, before that, I'd just like to ask the board if they have any questions. Oh, sorry. Before the applicant approaches the podium, I'd like to ask the board if they have any questions of the town planner.
The only thing I saw in reviewing the plans, was a generator being put on the property?
I don't remember. Is there a generator that's proposed for the property? No. And if they do propose a generator, they will have to meet the setbacks.
Okay, that was my concern there. I did review the property and the house this past weekend. I'm glad that one is being tore down. It'd be a nice addition to Bellito.
Thank you. No.
And there has been really no objection from any of the
No.
residents?
The notices were mailed out to everyone within 300 feet, and there hasn't been any comments from anyone.
Okay, John?
Right.
Oh, sorry. No comments? Okay. The only comment, and I'll hold mine till the applicant approaches. So if there's nothing else, applicant, please join us.
Good morning. My name is Annie Carruthers. I'm the principal and the architect of Insight Design Group. I'm the architect for the Stewarts. This is a family home. I'm just going to do a brief explanation of the design and just let you know that this was designed especially for a family. It's not going to be resold, which is nice. It was designed in a style that the owner specifically wanted. It has contemporary lines. It's a contemporary home, but does have some traditional detailing, including some crown molding, water tables, belt courses, and so forth. It's simple, but very straightforward. It's very clean lined. It's going to be beautifully landscaped. As it was mentioned, we will meet or exceed all of the setbacks, regulations, Florida Building Code as well, meet or exceed. The home, in it's monochromatic and very white, we want to maintain that pristine look. There was a question previously by Mr. Kravitz that the drainage be attended to. We do have some roof drains. So we want to really properly drain this home, not just on site, which we have civil engineering that will drain it on the site, but also on the roof. We don't want it to stay in the front. So we have provided an additional detail for the edge that creates a small parapet, if you will, to keep all of the water back, to ensure that the water doesn't come over and stay in the front and so forth for future. So I'll provide actually signed and sealed sets for that to add to the permit set. And I have a small detail that I can pass around as well. Okay. It's more like a blocking. It's very simple. and then, we'll flash around it and so forth. We didn't want to make it any taller or anything like that, so just a 4-inch blocking. The home will have some shading in the form of terraces that are cut out in the rear. I don't know if you have an easel just to put these up. We had a lot of renderings done. I'm not sure if those were provided for you in the package. They should have been.
I don't believe they were, but
If not, if I can.
that's okay. Yeah, just the cover sheet, that's all.
Oh, just, if,
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
How's that?
Perfect.
Can y'all see?
we provided quite a few renderings, but this is only a few that were mounted at the front. We did a courtyard in the front, which will be lovely landscape, and just a little water feature as well as you walk in that you step over. And then a low wall, which is within the setback, but it provides a separate layer of security for them as well, as it's a private home. And then yes. And then the rear is very simple, straightforward, a lot of terraces, picks up the views and so forth. Obviously, you see the pool. And it's a little bit of a reflection of the landscaping that we'll do, but this doesn't really reflect 100% the landscaping. And then I think the other one is just the site there, the setbacks. So this is just a simplified version of all the site, of the setbacks. They're all written down.
Great,
there. Okay?
very good, thank you. Does the town staff have any questions of the applicant before she steps down?
No, we don't.
Jeff? No, okay.
I have one question.
Hold on.
I have one question, may I ask it?
Go ahead.
I'm a bit of a fanatic on this, but do you anticipate using any porous materials in the driveway, on the patio area to help assist drainage?
The driveway, we wanted it to be more like a concrete paver, so the answer is no. But we have a civil engineer on board that has she has civil drainage calculations that are part of the permit set for the entire site. So we have addressed with the city, actually, the slope of the driveway, which we adjusted due to some concerns of the drainage. So we did do that, and we addressed it, and we had them submit all of the calculations for that. So we don't have a concern. And keep in mind, because the roof is not draining on, over and onto the whole site, I think that helps with the amount of water that's going to be captured on the side, because typically, you might have some gutters and so forth, but sometimes those gutters fail and so forth. But we're capturing all of that internal. So that's how we're working with it.
Putting it into the,
Yeah.
when you capture the water, where does it go?
Storm drain. Into the storm drain.
Okay, at this time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in favor or against the project? No? Okay, this is time for the board to question staff, the applicant, and/or the public. Does anyone on the board have any questions for the applicant or staff?
I will just pass.
Okay. The public hearing portion of this presentation is now closed. Can I have a motion from the board to approve with conditions, or a motion to deny the request?
I make a motion to approve with conditions that they meet everything that Jeff and Mary are concerned about. So I make a motion to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Okay, discussion. Start on this end. Any discussion on the project?
I think it's a beautiful plan myself. It's going to be a nice addition. One thing I did ask or think about, are the air compressors, they're roof mounts, aren't they?
They are.
They are, so they'll be hidden. That's a nice feature.
And there's a parapet around it.
Pardon me?
And we have a parapet around it as well.
Okay, good. That's all.
I don't see any negatives to it. I know that there are some residents from Bellito here, and they have no objections, so I think it'll be a great addition.
John? I reviewed the plans in detail, and I thought that the house is lovely. I think it's going to be a good addition to the community. My only concern, as I had mentioned previously, was water running off the front roof and the back roof over the edge of the building, but you indicated you designed a small parapet for it, and that's fine, which that'll work. We just want to try to keep the front of the house from staining. We have another house on A1A here that didn't do that, and there's drips
I see.
staining
Oh,
that
no.
occurs regularly, and it's unfortunate because it's a lovely house. And I also reviewed your drainage calculations. Unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to understand what these civil engineers do, but they look good. There were a lot of numbers, you know? Okay, so Ms. Deputy Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Member DeMoss,
Yes?
Member Goldenberg,
Yes?
Member Bolden,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Kravitz.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next applicant is application number 190557, Michael Rothberg. The application is for a special exception application for allowing an accessory use, a dock lot, I don't know what a dock lot is, at 3906 South Ocean Boulevard for the property at 3833 South Ocean Boulevard, Highland Beach, Florida. Do any of the board members have ex parte communications to disclose?
No.
No? Okay. At this time, I now open the public hearing. Are those, all of those giving testimony, would you please rise and raise your right hand and be sworn in?
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. McKinney, you're already at the podium, so will you please present your testimony and recommendations regarding the application?
Okay. And this is an application from Michael Rothberg for a special exception approval to allow an accessory use on a lot that is about 500 feet from his principal use structure at 3833 South Ocean. And the reason I called it dock lot was because I tried to clarify that it was the lot for the dock. In your staff report, I included the whole story from December of 2018, when the applicant originally requested a release of unity of title. And the unity of title is originally for, and still exists, for 3921. Right here. 3921, and here's the dock lot, and there is a dock down here. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there. And Mr. Rothberg is asking for, but not from this board, it will be from the commission, a release from the unity for these two lots. And then he wants a new unity, which he needs to have a special exception approval for a lot that's not contiguous to his lot. So he's going to ask for release for these two parcels and then get a new unity for these two parcels, the 3833. And that will be before the commission at the next at the October 1st commission meeting. Provided that this is approved today and move forward. There is a new code, which this board reviewed, which would allow this to happen, and that was for a accessory use to be up to 1,000 feet from the principal use. That's a new code. The second reading of that code will be at the September 19th commission meeting. It would have been September 3rd, but that meeting was canceled because of the storm event. So it will be on September 19th. And that will be the ordinance that allows an accessory use to be up to 1,000 feet away from the principal use, which right now the code does not allow. That section is 30-68. And I included that in your packet also, so you could see that the inclusion of the language that allows the accessory to be 1,000 feet from the lot with the principal structure is included, and you wanted the closest boundary points from the planning board meeting, we included that. And the use must be approved by a unity of title, and the unity of title would be reviewed by the town's attorney and then approved by the town commission. So that will occur at the same meeting that the special exception approval is reviewed by the town commission. I included the criteria for special exceptions in your code, which is in your packet, which is section 30-36. And I summarized the staff findings which would relate to the code for special exception approval. And what we found is that the use is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. The use is consistent with the requirements of the code. One of the criteria for special exception is how it relates to public welfare, and the proposed use provides for a safe means of pedestrian access, and the applicant proposes to walk from his single-family house at 3833 to the lot which has the dock at 3906 on the sidewalk on State Road A1A. The applicant does not propose to park at the dock lot as there is no parking allowed on State Road A1A. Police and fire can access the site from State Road A1A and the Intracoastal Waterway. The site is heavily landscaped with mangroves, and the walkway does not negatively impact adjacent properties. The walkway does not impose any negative impacts to adjacent utilities, and the walkway does not conflict with building codes. The dock lot and walkway are compatible with the surrounding development, and the dock lot and walkway do not have adverse impacts or environmental impacts. And staff recommended approval of the special exception condition with the following conditions. 1, the release of unity of title for 3921 and 3906, which is the lot that has the dock, Ocean Boulevard, must be approved by the town commission. And 2, the unity of title for 3833, which is the applicant's principal structure, and 3906, the lot with the dock on Ocean Boulevard, that must be approved by the town commission. And the ordinance allowing accessory uses to be on the property up to 1,000 feet from the principal structure lot is approved by the town commission on second reading, which got postponed from September 3rd to September 19th because of the storm. And then the recommendation is if the town commission does not approve both 1 and 2 conditions, the special exception approval would be void and have no effect. So that's the end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Massey, do you have any comments or presentation to make? No? Okay. With the applicant, so at this point, do any of the board members have any questions of the city town planner?
One question, is it, and I don't know if this might be for you, is it legal for us to proceed with this prior to the final action by the commission?
As long as it's conditioned upon the commission's approval, that's fine. It's a recommendation.
Okay. At this point, or this time, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good morning. My name is Michael Rothberg. Basically, what we're just trying to do is unify the dock lot and the residence I have across the street as it's been done for the last 20 years, plus or minus. That dock has existed, the unity of title has existed, and we're just trying to now unify it back to, excuse me, my residence, and then I can actually go forth with power and basic use of the dock. Not asking for anything that hasn't existed for plus or minus 20 years. Once it is unified back to my house, the benefit to the surrounding area and everyone else in town is that lot right now is zoned for multi-family development. As soon as it's unified back, it no longer has that option. If it's split off, it can be developed, it may be a long process, but it can be put to a multi-family unit. So it's advantageous to the town, the planning, and it's a pretty straightforward move. 125 feet, right, corner to corner, versus 450 plus or minus. I'm just trying to have use of my dock. That's it.
Okay. Does the town staff have any questions for the applicant? No? Okay. Move on the script. Does the, okay, so there's no rebuttal, obviously. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak either for or against the project? Okay, hearing none. This is the time for the board to question the applicant. Again, we'll start to my right. Any questions for the applicant?
No other uses, just the dock. Is that right?
It's a dock for use of my boat. I don't know what other use it's allowed for.
Okay, just want to clarify that, because
It's not,
I
I
remember,
can't do a marina, I'm not looking to do a public.
because I
access.
remember one meeting that you said, I'll be building in 30 months.
But that originally
was-
was a guest house, and that was to allow me to have the dock because they didn't want to do the unification. Can I tell you what happens in 10 years? No, 5 years, no, but
Okay.
it's not good. The person next door has a small guest house, as you can see.
It's a single-family dwelling there, I think, that, right next to you.
Yes.
Right. The other thing is that I walk there all the time, and I see vehicles parked on that grass. So if we're going to say no parking, I would suggest we start now.
I believe there
It's
has,
probably from your work crew, I would imagine. But you might
yeah.
as well start the process now.
I believe they have. I think they've been enforcing it and politely, asking the guys to move. I know the GC is taking some spaces up the street, so we're doing everything we can to
Okay.
comply with all ordinances.
May I ask, when do you anticipate your house being done? It's been almost, what, a 2-year process,
End of this month.
end of this month.
FP&L has supposedly up to the 16th to put the power to the house, which then really gets you going along. Believe me, I want to be in there more than you want me in there.
Okay. The other thing, off the subject a little bit, but on A1A, you put in the sewer line here, went across just, what, about a month ago or so. Are you I'm certainly not satisfied with the pavement that has been re-put down
You
on
are or
A-
aren't, I'm
on
sorry.
A1A. Huh?
You are or aren't?
Or not,
That,
with the paving? Maybe our code person could take a look at that, because it is a rough piece.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done by FDOT, and since it's their roadway,
Wow, okay.
I mean, it's going to level out over time, but again, we got the repaving coming in a couple of years, but yeah, it's going to be a little bump there for a while.
Okay.
Okay, next.
We're the neighbors to the south of this lot, this dock lot, and I know a lot of my residents are a bit concerned about it. There was a lot of back and forth, and unfortunately, I think you came in the middle of some other issues with another lot, and it was all lumped together. But this will be for a dock only,
yes, the dock is there.
right? And what about the lift that is already there?
Lift is going to be replaced with lift is going to be replaced with a new lift.
And do you know the tonnage of that lift, approximately?
I think we're putting a 24,000-pound lift.
And what size boat are you planning to put in there?
It'll be a 39 to 41-foot center console.
All right, so it'll be a low silhouette type of boat.
It has a small tower on it.
Yeah, I
mean, it's not a-
understand. It's not a cabin cruiser.
No, you're in a wake zone, so really getting on and off the lift is already going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I had a boat, so I know about that
You know,
challenge.
it's fast. You got to get on there.
All
and
right, so the bottom line is it should be a relatively low-profile boat, long and low, so to
Long
speak.
and low, anything that protrudes from it will be see-through, i.e. a type of tower or anything. There's not going to be a cabin on it. It's not going to be an enclosed bridge or anything like
And
that.
you're not planning on any other structure on that end of the dock?
On this end of the dock, no.
Okay.
Okay, John?
Did you get the power issue settled with FP&L to bring out to the dock?
No, because we can't apply for the permit until the dock is re-inspected. They want to look back at the power because it was redone and approved back in 17, but they never, when it was called into the wrong address because it's tied back to 3921. So FP&L's now saying we need to have it re-inspected, which is fine. So once it's approved here, approved to the next level, then I can have a permit issued, have it inspected, and then called into FP&L.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
May I-
Did you have one more question?
Yeah, the walkway. Yes, the boardwalk.
Yes.
In what condition is that now, and will you anticipate redoing it?
It's okay, and the answer is yes, I do anticipate redoing it and making it safe and secure.
Okay, at this time, the public hearing is closed. May I have a motion to approve, or a motion to approve with conditions, or a motion to deny the request for the applicant?
I make a motion that we approve as stated.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, I'll
With
second that. I'll
conditions.
second that.
I'm sorry, second.
But with conditions
Right.
that it, the approval of the commission.
It has to be.
Yeah, I think the commission has to approve it per the commission's,
But there are a number of steps that still have to go on even after approval in terms of application for a new lift and those kinds of things.
correct. So,
But
I'm sorry, so what'll happen is that our approval will be recorded. with-
recommendation.
well, It's a recommendation for approval to the board, to the commission, and then, of course, the commission has to follow their processing. And all of these approvals that were asked for in the applicant's package are subject to the commission approval.
Then I will second it with the conditions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm in favor, so 3-1?
Okay.
Okay.
Who's the one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it was in favor, so it's,
Oh, you're in favor?
I said aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
it was just a little delayed.
Because I said all, nay. No
Unanimously?
problem. So it was unanimous approval.
Okay.
We'll get it right one of these days. I'm sorry. It also says on here you needed to call the roll.
Oh, well, you already did
Okay.
unanimously, so.
I'm a little aggressive sometimes. Okay. Agenda item C, building, planning, permit development review and approval process presentation. I'd like to refer this item to our building official, Jeffrey Massey. Mr. Massey?
Good morning, everyone. Just pull up this. Okay. Always the technology end of things. Well, what a segue when we've just talked about the most exciting thing that we have to deal with, which is process. And now we're going to have a presentation about process. I do apologize if this gets a little dry. I'm probably going to rip through this pretty quickly because this is the second time I'm doing this. I did this in front of the town commission, and at their order, they want this presented to every board in town. So we're going to go through this and talk about what permit process is, development order process, a little bit about variances. We're going to talk about all of it. But we're going to start with looking at contracting in Florida Statute 489, what constitutes an owner-builder exemption, because there's been some confusion concerning that. We'll look at what constitutes the requirements for a permit application, and then also what we've just been talking about, development review and variance requests. So 489, contractor. Contractor is a person that is licensed in a particular discipline to do construction. And I'm always telling applicants when they come to our building department that permits usually are submitted by licensed contractors in privity of contract with a fee simple title owner. There are exemptions, and the biggest exemption that applies is with regard to an owner builder. But that language with regard to an owner must personally appear, that is the question about what constitutes an owner builder exception. So there's an Attorney General's opinion on this concerning legal entities like corporations, LLCs, things of that nature. They're unable to qualify under owner builder because they lack the ability to personally appear. And remember, that's the hard requirement, because they have to rely on an agent or a representative of the company, and so that's why owner-builder is not an option when a property is owned by a legal corporation. So digging into it a bit, we have an owner-builder affidavit with some specific language here that it reiterates again state law requiring construction to be done by licensed contractors. However, 1 and 2 family, you get the exemption under owner-builder. And it's very clear when you sign this affidavit, you're not authorized to hire unlicensed people. Once you sign that you are operating under the exemption as an owner-builder under 489, you're taking on the role of a contractor. So all the labor laws, lien laws, all of that stuff applies. So what about an owner-builder in a condo building? Can we do that? Well, remember, it's specific to 1 and 2 family, and that's where we usually always come back to. Permits are usually submitted by licensed contractors. I can't stress that enough. And it's usually where your process is going to start. If you're going to do some work, you're going to be talking to a contractor, hopefully. So, permit application, we use the universal countywide application from Palm Beach. I know that's tiny, but we're going to blow some of it up. In the first box, we're looking for what type of permit it is. Is it a primary permit? Is it a sub-permit? Because you could have subs related to a primary permit, based upon different trades. We're going to get property owner information here, trade information concerning what type of permit this is governing, structural, plumbing, electrical, whatever the case may be. We're going to get other information in here regarding value of the job so we can calculate the permit fee, what type of work it is. Is it an addition, residential repair, whatever. And then down here at the bottom, that owner-builder exemption again, and or the contractor submitting the application. So a little further down, you've got information for the owner. It also says agent, including contractor. This is where sometimes the application gets a little tricky because, when a sub-permit is issued, you do not need really the owner's signature on a sub-permit application if you have the owner's signature on the primary permit, because again, the contractor is in privity with the owner, so we're not requiring double information from the owner, which it can get a little goofy down here because, we have owners that are absent for portions of the year while work is going on. They've already contracted with a general contractor who's acting as their agent. So, when they're changing a sub or when they're adding a sub, this gives them that ability to be able to do that because they're in privity with the owner. And then, of course, the owner's information, and again, this is mainly on a primary permit, but it can also apply if the nature of the work is just electrical only. So we're going to need the owner's signature there because there is no other primary permit. Some more information regarding title holder, bonding company. This is information that we, will receive, but the biggest thing here is, required by law, this warning to owner about a notice of commencement and not paying twice for your permit. So, steps to obtain a permit, everybody in unison. Hire a licensed contractor, it's number 1. Should be first on everyone's list. And then submit construction documents for review. Minimally, construction documents are going to consist of professionally designed plans, not always, but a scope of work and a schedule of values with a signed contract. This is for your protection, for the, so we can schedule inspections appropriately and review appropriately. But I always recommend professionally designed plans, even if your value of your job is under $25,000. Never hurts to get a professional to take a look at your job. Respond to plan review comments in a timely fashion. This is huge. We're usually able to render comments on a plan or a permit application if they're deficient relatively quickly. And a lot of times they'll sit for a while. And I can't stress enough that it's the applicant's responsibility to push the process. We're not here to manage your permit application. We're here to do review and inspections accordingly. So when we issue those review comments, please respond as quickly as possible. And then pay your permit fees, schedule inspections, and by golly, enjoy the construction process. So, a couple of statistics. Now, this was run back in August. Whoops, there it is. Back in the end of last month when we were doing this in front of the commission. But some numbers here of note. building permits, and these are major building permits, are going out on an average of 24 days. That means they're coming in, they're being reviewed, and they're being issued in 24 days. Condos in 17 days. And that's the bulk of what we do. You can see the number there, 105 in condos being submitted and 73 being issued. That's single-family residence saying same day. There's a little bit of a fudge in the number there because, you know, typically when someone's going through development review like the 40, or was it 4003, 4403, we're reviewing their building application simultaneously to the planning process. So that's why those get issued, it seems like immediately. But, you know, we're working on tying that up so we can get a better metric there. On this page, there is one category that stands out, and that would be dock and seawall and boat lift, take an average of 49 days. Last year, they were averaging over 60, and it had been that way for a while. But again, this is part of the development review process that slows this issuance down. And, you know, it takes sometimes 60 days to get here to this board to get those things reviewed. So, development review, what we've just been talking about. This is where everything gets fun in table 30-1. You've got a laundry list of items here that, you know, require advisory by this board. Sometimes the decision from the town commission, but all of them come to my desk. I have to review them for completeness one way or the other, Mary and I as a team. And occasionally we get the decision-making authority on minor modifications to site plans and administrative development order change. Planning board, you guys are doing a lot of the advisory work, but again, single family rests with you at this time. And then the town commission has most of the decision-making authority on the land use development items above, with the exception of single family and the subdivision of land. But we're going to drill into these in detail. Again, that little dot showing decision-making authority advisory, so that's where all of this comes from here. And you can see there's some advisory opinion on variance. Possibly we're going to make the decision. Possibly it's going to go to town commission, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. And then this little 2 here, which is basically like go back to go and start over, because it means it has to be approved in the manner as the original application. So where do I get all of these forms? Well, on our website. In the building department, there's the link, and it actually is highlighted down below for development order application. And here we go. All this information, and it's so tiny you can't even see it. But there's a checklist on the front page of this application, and then there's granularity as to what type of application it is. There's some procedures that have to be followed, particularly with regard to who does what, what's happening in the town clerk's office, what's happening with the building department, what's happening with, you know, the public hearings, and that's all outlined where nobody can read it on this slide. Special exceptions. I can get everybody a copy of this if you like. Special exceptions. This is where things get a little bit tricky because we just went through one, and it was an excellent definition of what a special exception is. It's something that's usually not appropriate through a zoning district, but if controlled to such impacts as number, land area, location, number, square feet, operating hours, proximity to adjacent residential and non-residential uses, it may not adversely affect the public interest. So the question about boat lift being a special exception has been one that, you know, has been kicked around, and we're kind of working on this because the town commission has the final authority on a special exception. As you guys well know, you just issued an advisory opinion on a special exception. It's going to go to the commission. But under supplemental district regulations, accessory marine facilities are a permitted use, which particularly with lifting, mooring devices, docks, things of that nature. And the planning board has final decision authority over the approval of boat lifts. Well, we're working on this because there's some question about, for continuity's sake, what is going to be the process for a marine facility approval. And, you know, some of the options are that all marine facilities will go through the special exception process, planning board advisory opinion with commission decision-making authority. I don't know if that's going to be our best option. Marine facilities continue to be approved by this planning board, which is the way it's set up. Marine facilities apply for permits and are approved at the building department without board review. I'm all in favor of that. Or a combination of all of the above. So the process to be determined in the near future. So that's going to be coming back through, I'm sure, this board and also the town commission once the final process is set. So development review, all of these items on the top of the table are relatively self-explanatory, where planning board has advisory opinion and town commission holds the decision-making authority. And this is all with regard to land development matters, residential plan unit development, things of this nature that are considered quote-unquote major impact. Most of the confusion in the development review matrix is below, because we got all these twos, we've got, who makes a decision? I don't know, maybe we're gonna do this. We've got variances where it could stop at the Board of Adjustment, or it may go to the town commission, and we're gonna talk about what constitutes that. We've got major modification, which is go back to go, do not pass go right back to the beginning on a site plan, and then development order non-administrative, which again is a go back to the beginning. So start with single-family residence. We just did one, went pretty well. Building permit process, however, is separate from this planning board approval process. And that's where some confusion lies also. I mean, we've had applicants believe that once they're approved by the planning board, they're ready to start building. Well, that's not the fact, because you've got the permit process, the building permit process, and you've got the development review process. They're separate, and one goes before the other. And that's why I stepped out with the last applicant to remind them that we've been reviewing their permit, and we're gonna be ready to issue it in the next probably 48 hours. Not bad. Variance applications, these are things that just don't fit the mold. They're gonna come to the Board of Adjustment, whether they're going to the town commission or not. There are some that are going to stop at that variance board, but this is where we've been talking about the final version of what is low impact versus high impact. We've been talking about ground level variances versus things that affect building height and usage, the square footage of a particular building. And we're going to see some of that clearly here under some of these next slides. So major modification, I think this is where we're going to find some of the direction with regard to the major or the ground level or low level impact versus high level impact. But, again, major modifications have been coming to this board, particularly with regard to boat lifts, because accessory structures are considered major modifications to a principal structure. So it's in our ordinance that way, and that's why it comes in front of the planning board. Or, whatever the original process is. It could go planning board, could go Board of Adjustment, could go town commission, but typically boat lifts are coming here. And then minor building modifications are things that we deal with at the desk. Interior alterations, changes to windows and doors, something that doesn't affect building setbacks, and similar changes that don't affect the intensity or density. So, we've got some verbiage in here that talks about what is major. The building height, number of square feet, the building footprint, number of units, parking requirements, change in exterior facade, change in use, change in roof line, change in elevation, all exterior walls, balconies, foundations. So, that's probably where we're going to be going with the high level versus low level impact. Major and minor modification to existing buildings. Again, it's go back to the beginning, because that's why we have that little 2 there. So, depending upon what it is, it's most likely going to be coming to this board, and then it could be going further. Development order changes. Non-administrative versus administrative. Non-administrative, these again are talking about what are major impacts. And again, we see that same language, the type of dwelling, number of units, change in architectural style, change in building elevation, increase in building height, change in building footprint, change of use, or any similar substantive change as determined by good old me. So this goes right back to the beginning. The administrative changes are low impact, if you will, using, staying with the continuity of the verbiage, and they're reviewed at our desk. Subdivisions of land, again, this is dealing with land use, and this straight up comes to this board for advisory and commission for approval. So, you've got land use matters at the top of the board, and they're pretty clear. Advisory through this board, and then going to commission for final approval as a decision-making authority. We've got all of this stuff down here in the bottom that we're cleaning up. The process is relatively straightforward, but it could probably use some tweaking, and we're working on that. And then, of course, subdivision of land is considered a land use matter. Now, there was a comment when I presented to the commission concerning impact fees. And there's some verbiage in here concerning that, and it talks about land dedication requirements. It's in 20-2 of our ordinance, open space and recreational land. The intent is to provide land or funds, or both, to be used by the town to provide additional open space and recreation land to meet the need for such open space and facilities created by new residential development. But the thing to remember is this applies only when a single-family house is going up, as far as single-family is concerned. It only applies where there's a lot where it was previously undeveloped. So we've had a few of those recently. I think we have one coming up. But when you're knocking down a building and building a new building, this certainly doesn't apply. Multifamily, I think it applies across the board. And again, a single-family unit which is built upon a lot which is part of a subdivision, but which had not been built upon at the time the subdivision was originally subdivided into lots. And I think Mr. Rothberg probably knows about that because he built on a vacant lot, and there were significant impact fees. So, and I can review those with anyone at their leisure. So I thank you for your attention in a very exciting topic, and I can answer any questions that anyone may have.
Sure. First, anybody on the board have any questions?
It's a lot of
Just-
information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similar process for basically all the towns, right? Boca does basically the same process, Ocean Ridge.
Essentially, I mean, in principle, yes. I mean, some communities work with a Development Review Council or DRC type process, which is an appointed board of individuals and then staff providing input. The way that we do it here, as far as having the planning board, I mean, every town has a planning board. It's going to come to you guys eventually at some point. But, typically there is a development process that happens, concerning land use and the zoning code, and does it meet all of those requirements? And then the permit process being separate, but, running kind of congruently. But I don't think our process is substantially different from any of our neighbors.
John?
The only question I have is, when I read this, of course, it tied my brain in a knot the first 2 or 3 times. But it did finally come clear. I'm wondering when it would be possible to have like a one-page list of things that are supposed to be done, and you might refer to see page so-and-so for this, see page so-and-so for that, but it'd be a one-page shot that just lists the must-dos.
I think we have it in separate areas. We're working on.
I agree. That's what, that's what I'm talking about. If we could pull it into one shot that was like the table of contents for this document, it might be easier for people who have an easily tangled brain to sort it out.
I think we can certainly work towards that and come up with something that would be reasonable. I know that the flow chart has been kicked around. And we're still working to develop something that's going to streamline the process. The bottom line, permitting and planning, kind of 2 different areas. Even though there is a process for one and a process for the other, I think we can come up with something that's going to help.
I'm mainly looking at a consumer thing, maybe not even the builder, but
Yeah.
the individual, so they at least have some concept of what's going through. Maybe knowing what their builder's going through will help them be a little more patient sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a few more things online. I'm working on providing more, what I would say, real-time information on applications that, applicants, owners can go and see where your order is in the process. Has it gone through this review? Is it stuck in this review, or comments needed here? So, as I move towards that online solution, which might be getting it soon, we'll get that certainly squared away, and we'll make that very clear at that point.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, next on the agenda are announcements from the deputy town clerk.
Town Commission regular meeting on September the 19th at 1:30 PM. There's a Town Commission special second public budget meeting on the same date at 5:01. Town Commission workshop meeting September 24th at 1:30 PM. That concludes the announcements.
Okay, thank you very much. Having no further business before the board, can we have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.